So Forest Rights Act basically is talking about the rights of people who are dwelling in forest, living in forest. Okay? With respect to Jammu Kashmir, it is major in general in the entire country, it is tribals. Tribal people are the one who are dwelling in forest, living in forest. So their livelihood, their dependence is very heavy on forest. Whatever is being extracted out of forest is their food, and that itself is their livelihood also, source of money also. Okay? So this is true for majority of the tribals, and their population in Jammu and Kashmir is around 12%. Okay? These people, these tribes are mostly Gujjars, Bakarwas, Gaddi, Sippi, and Dakshin, and both. So in exam, they can ask you by naming the tribal that this is belonging to which place. Okay. For example, they have asked related to Gujjars and Bakarwals. They have asked related to Irulars. They have asked related to few other tribes from Sikkim also. Okay. So they can ask you the location of the tribes. Okay. FRA, we will be discussing the provisions in detail, but here briefly I'll tell you, FRA is basically talking about the rights of the people who are living in forest. Okay? It recognizes the rights of tribal communities and other forest dwellers, individual right also, community right also. Okay? And it empowers them by provisioning the use of forest land. So you can make use of forest land, whatever minor forest produce you are collecting out of that forest. It can be honey, it can be bamboo, it can be either any other medicinal plant also. Whatever minor forest produce you are getting out of this forest, you can either use it or sell it. Okay? So all such rights have been granted under FRA across the country. Okay? In Jammu Kashmir also it was implemented, although very late in picture. It was implemented in 2021. In 2021, it was introduced in Jammu Kashmir, but before that, many other countries maybe already had FRA. Okay? Okay. So we discussed that it recognizes the rights of the forest dwelling communities. So who is identifying whether you should be given a right or not, whether you are a forest dweller or not? That should be organized by identified by a particular organization, right? That is Gram Sabha. And what is Gram Sabha in polity? Who constitutes Gram Sabha? Correct. Registered voters from a particular village, all the adult voters will be part of Gram Sabha. So Gram Sabha as a community will recognize that this person lives in this forest, this person lives in this forest. This is the community which is living in the forest. So identification of beneficiary of FRA is done by Gram Sabha. Okay. Plus, Gram Sabha will also determine, apart from authorizing and determining forest rights, it will also be the duty of Gram Sabha what kind of minor forest produce you are generating, or what kind of minor forest produce can be sold, or what is the land boundary. Okay, so this is kind of decentralization because Gram Sabha is now acting as a nodal agency to implement FRA itself, right? Until and unless we have a powerful Gram Sabha in a village, this act might not be implemented. Okay, this problem appeared in Jammu Kashmir, has been appearing in majority of the states. Okay, that's the reason FRA is not being implemented in its proper form. So in that case, we will be reading about the issues of FRA. Here we are talking about the rights of Gram Sabha. Gram Sabha has the right of identification of beneficiaries, identification of boundary, what kind of minor forest produce you are cultivating, what you can sell, what is the community right, and all such rights. Okay? FRA declares the right to collect minor forest produce. Okay? So whatever whatever is being generated in the forest in which you are living, you have the right over all those forest produce. Okay? So recognition to collect minor forest produce was one of the right recognized under FRA. It also recognized titular rights for the land being cultivated. So if a person living in forest is cultivating a piece of land, so they will be having titular rights, titled rights, that you are the owner of this piece of land. But this is restricted to maximum 4 hectares. More than 4 hectares, they cannot own. Okay. It also talks about rehabilitation rights. Matlab, let's say to construct a dam, I had to deforest a particular piece of land. So I'll rehabilitate you. I'll pick you up and place you somewhere else. I should give you compensation, either monetary compensation, or I should build facilities for you, housing, education, hospital all such facilities I should be building up. Only in that case I should be rehabilitating, right? If such it also gives you rehabilitation rights if no such compensation has been given, neither monetary compensation nor house nor neither educational facility, health facility. If all such facilities are not given, then I'll be also giving you rehabilitation rights under FRA. Okay. It also talks about the community rights. So community rights, what do you have? Protect, regenerate, conserve and manage. So a community will have a right of designated boundary area that they can conserve this forest land. If someone else is trying to, let's say government also or any public body, if they are trying to cut down that forest piece, a certain piece of land, the Gram Sabha or this community will have the right to say no to such people, including government. Okay, so you understand why is this very important? Okay, because in India, for example, for any other thing, let's say even RA forest issue which was occurring there, what was the problem? In Mumbai, there is a forest by the name RA. Okay, so Mumbai Metro Rail Corporation to build a place to store the metros. When metros will come to this station, they will be docked up. Okay, so it will be the area wherein all the metros will be lined up. From here, the metro line begins. Okay, so to construct this piece of land, they had to destroy this forest. Okay, people protested there. Public protested that you cannot cut a piece of forest, a huge bunch of forest to construct dock there. Okay, if it was just a passing of metro line, it was still okay. Okay, because you can construct such kind of dockyards, a place to keep metros elsewhere also, right? So people protested. Such kind of protest can come from within community also. Okay? It can object government, it can object any public body because they have the right to protect or conserve or manage. This is a very big right, and that is why it was never given. Although it is documented under FRA, community rights were not given to any community under FRA. Very recently, Odisha and Chhattisgarh has been the only two states to implement this part also. Okay? Any confusion? Any confusion? Okay. So, what are the challenges of FRA to Jammu and Kashmir? So, to identify beneficiary under Forest Rights Act, to identify beneficiary, we designate that you should be living for at least 3 generations here, or we are assuming on an average 75 years, you must be living inside that forest. Only in that case, I'll be assigning you the titular rights. Okay. So, what if the person, that community, that family is not living inside the forest for a consecutive 3 generations? What if they are transhumans? Who are they? Who are these people, transhumans? Correct. Migratories or nomads. They will shift seasonal. They will undertake seasonal shift. For winter season, they will shift towards valley base. In summer season, they will shift to the mountain top. So they are not living inside the forest for a consecutive years, right? So that means they should not be given the Forest Rights Act. That is the problem, right? So implement FRA, because if they are transhumans, you are not living inside forest. So how do I recognize the titular rights? I want 3 generations to consecutively live in forest. Okay. Secondly is lack of documents. This is a very big problem, not only to FRA, for us also. If somebody comes and suddenly asks you what proof do you have for citizenship? What proof do you have for citizenship? Aadhaar is not a proof of citizenship. Passport, yes. Passport can be, PAN card can be. So these are proof of your citizenship. See, we don't even know, in general public doesn't know what is the proof of citizenship. So how will these forest dwellers know about it? They don't even have a proper documentation of what is their own piece of land, right? So lack of documents is a problem, or has been a problem, one of the challenge in implementation of FRA to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay. Weak Gram Sabha. See, I told you that Gram Sabha should be assertive in nature, that this is my boundary, don't cross this boundary. Okay, this is my boundary, you're not supposed, even as a government body, you're not supposed to cut down the trees, because it is my right to protect or conserve or manage or whatever it is. Okay, so this is the right of Gram Sabha. If the Gram Sabha itself is weak, that means they can be easily convinced by any public body or government, right? So weak Gram Sabha also has been one of the challenge in implementation of FRA to Jammu and Kashmir. Okay? and weak community participation, because community is not together, not behaving like one single entity, so we are not able to give them community rights. And as it is, government is unwilling to give them community rights, although they have the provision under FRA. They are not willing because they need that piece of land. It can be for mining, can be for dam construction, or any other industry construction, any other thing, right? We have innumerous stories wherein the tribals have revolted against, I don't want to give this piece of land, right? Do you have any example? Can you give me any example where tribals have revolted? I don't want to give this piece of land. Okay, Odisha, what was the case? Andhra, what was the case? Bauxite mining. Odisha is very well known for bauxite mining. Bauxite is the ore for which mineral? Aluminium, correct. Aluminium. Al2O3 is the chemical formula for bauxite. It's an ore of aluminium itself. So, South Korean company, it came for extraction of aluminium, and Dongria Khons was the tribe which revolted. No, this is our, we protect this as a god. Okay, you are not supposed to remove this piece of land and extract aluminium, because this is something we revere. Okay, any other example? Andhra, what example? Tamil Nadu, what is Vedantu company, correct? Against deforestation and mining extraction only. Correct. Alluri Sitaram Raju. Have you heard this name elsewhere? Who was he? Freedom fighter. Alluri Sitaram Raju was a tribal, one of the tribals who was protecting their forest land. Correct. Matlab, we know him as a, I remember his name in Spectrum. In civil and tribal revolts, in that chapter you will find his name. But yes, RRR movie is based on him only, but he was a tribal leader, okay, protecting that piece of land. Similarly, any name from Jharkhand? Have you not heard of Birsa Munda? Birsa Munda was a very big, huge, renowned tribal leader from Jharkhand. We celebrate Janjatiya Divas. Bharatiya Janjatiya Divas is celebrated on his birth only. Matlab, National Tribals Day is celebrated on the birthday of Birsa Munda himself. Okay, Birsa Munda was the tribal leader from Jharkhand. Okay, and he was also protesting against Dikus, Dikus, if you have read in modern history. He was also protesting against Dikus. Dikus, they call any foreigner who is trying to enter into their piece of land. Okay? So he was also protesting against Dikus. Even today, the entire Red Corridors zone of India is always protesting against miners only. The growth of Naxalism is also rooted to protest against miners only. Okay, industrialization. They are usually against industrialization because they see this as a foreign intervention in their piece of land. They will be evicted from their land, so they resort to violence, turning towards Naxalism, or at least indirectly they are supporting by providing them with information. Okay, so that a core part of conflict is they do not want the forest to get destroyed, and rest of the so-called civilized society call this as a mineral-rich zone. Okay, the entire forest dwelling zone of India is actually also the mineral rich zone of India. It also contains bauxite, iron, coal. This, whatever region we have tribals, it is also full of minerals also. So this has been, FRA has been a contentious clause. FRA has been a contentious act in itself. Okay? So I was discussing about the weak community participation. So until and unless we have a very strong Gram Sabha or very strong community acting as a one binded unit entity, we will not be able to implement FRA. Okay? This is problem everywhere and has been the problem of Jammu and Kashmir also. Okay? So the solution can be, if we know the problems, we know the solution. If the problem is documentation, you provide them with documents, right? If the problem is education or weakness of Gram Sabha, you fund them, right? So that they are if they are economically powerful, then automatically they will be assertive in what they are saying, right? And address the poor literacy rate. We discussed this, right? Odisha and Chhattisgarh have been the only two states. Only 2 states to completely implement the provisions of Forest Rights Act. Okay. And recently they have recognized the community rights also. So community rights recognition is something which is remarkable. Okay. Now we at least see if these two states are majorly dominated by tribals. So if the government has to run, they must agree to what tribals are saying. Okay. Otherwise the government gets toppled, right? So these states are the ones who have implemented, because the majority population itself is tribal. They are getting reserved seats. They are having a political say in what their land is, what their land demands, right? Okay, and the FRA, you need, this is a prelims pointer. What is MOTA? So they can ask you question ki FRA is implemented by which of the following ministries. I don't think that simple question they will ask, but still you should be knowing about it. Okay. Shall I give you time to write? Or if you started writing, huh? Okay. Okay. I will share the PPT, definitely. I will share the PPT. If you want to write, we can write, but quickly. We have 5 topics plus 1 answer to cover today. Use your community rights. Put down the sheet. All the news that you are not able to understand, please put it on a paper and give it on reception. Okay. By the end of the week, I'll collect it. Any confusion here? Oh, thank you. Forest Rights Act has a very long name. Okay. Recognition of rights of forest and tribal dwellers, some very long name. But it is very commonly read as FRA only. Okay, so FRA will also do, if you remember FRA. I'll definitely share the PPT by the end of the class. Done with the slide?
India is running a project of railway in Jammu and Kashmir. Will this influence the forest area?
If it is intervening in a forest area, it will affect.
But deforestation
That's what.
that is necessary. Constructing a railway line.
Yes, it is. See, it is necessary, but the extent of deforestation is still debatable. First of all, viability of such project is to be questioned. We will have to undertake EIA, environmental impact assessment of that project. Okay, whether the project is imperative, there is no other option. If there is no other option, what is the minimum extent? How can we reduce the climate footprint? What minimum extent can we devastate or deforestate? So all that should be undertaken, but it is discussion on paper. At least you people as a would-be bureaucrat, you should be writing about this. EIA, environmental impact assessment, should be minimized for any such projects which is going against FRA. Okay. If you are trying to, let's say we are building up roads, or even the Char Dham project is one of the most controversial project, because it's almost an 900 kilometer stretch of road which we are extending to 6 lane. You imagine 6-lane road running on a mountain top. Okay. So viability of such project, is it imperative? First question. If it is imperative, what is the minimum extent to which we can undertake destruction or deforestation or removal of big rocks from mountain top. So that's what these pointers you should be writing in answer.
Ma'am, doesn't the Himalayas have a lot of rivers, right? So for purpose of renewable energy, when we implement hydroelectric power, doesn't that affect the Forest Rights Act?
See, again, the answer is same. In renewable energy also there is option of small hydro. Okay, or there is option of not building a big reservoir or just diverting a stream. So there are alternative options also. On the mountain top, you can also think of, or any other place, you can also think of putting up windmills, at least at the valley bottoms, because it is a concentrated piece of land, so we can expect more wind to occur. So there are alternatives we need to think of. Okay. But if in case, that's what, if the project is imperative, there is no other option, then we'll have to build it. Okay. Done with this slide also? Okay. So we can begin with the next article, right? The next article is related to Birth and Death Registration Act, Registration Amendment Act. Okay. So under the new act, we have the government, Ministry of Home Affairs has mandated, it has become mandatory to register births. Okay. Birth and death registration is basically in concurrent list. So what is concurrent list? Both state. What is concurrent list? No, sir. What is concurrent list? Anyone. Don't know. Next. Sir, I know that you know. I'm just asking. Correct. Both state and center control. Can make laws. Can make laws. Basically, concurrent list is a list on which you can make laws. The list of subjects on which you can make laws. If it is a state list, matlab state will make laws. If it's a union list, that means union will make. From which constitution we have taken this? 35. 1935. No. From which constitution we have taken? No, Australia. Concurrent list is from Australian constitution. Concurrent list is from Australian constitution. We have borrowed this from Australian constitution. But otherwise, Canadian constitution say what we have borrowed? Quasi-federalism, yes. Quasi-federalism. We are not a purely federal. Correct. We are not a purely federal government. Quasi-federalism, federalism, division of power between center and states. If we are calling this as quasi-federal, because we are a quasi-federal constitution, because for us the central government is more powerful as compared to the state government. So if it was equally powerful, which is a purely federal government? USA is a purely federal government. Central and state government has equal powers. Okay? They will run with their own constitution. They will have their own law and order, own policing system, and all that. So that USA becomes an example of purely federal constitution. We are following quasi-federalism. But anyways, concurrent list is coming from Australia. Okay? So birth and death registration is part of concurrent list. If it is part of concurrent list, both central government as well as state government can make laws to this. Okay? Now, under the provisions of Birth and Death Registration Act, digital registration and electronic delivery of certificates have become mandatory. Now you don't have to go to the birth registration office, Registrar General of India office. Okay, you don't have to go to the nearest municipal center also. You can do it online. So electronic registration and electronic delivery of certificates will now be one of the provisions under Birth and Death Registration Act. Now, because it has become an act, so it is all applicable now. Okay. Second thing, a birth certificate has now become the only document to prove date and place of birth. Okay, only document. Have you been using birth certificate as the only document? No. What other document are you? 10th certificate, correct. In your matriculation certificate, you have date of birth written, and immensely, all of us have immensely used matriculation certificate in banks also to open accounts. or to get your driving license done or get your voters ID registration done. All these areas may you have, in general, we have used matriculation certificate as one of the date of birth certificate. Now this is not possible. Only document to prove your birth certificate or even the place of birth. Place of birth, what is the document that you are using? Residential or PAN card. Okay. Not present in your 12th certificate. So all these documents can be your proof of place of birth. But now this is not true. Only and only birth certificate will become your proof of place of birth and date of birth. Okay. Okay. Acha. Also, only and only birth certificate will be required to get admission to educational institutions. That means if you are not able to produce the birth certificate, then you will not be admitted to an educational institute, be it graduation, post-graduation, school level, anything. Okay? You require a birth certificate mandatorily. Now, what about those people who have RT? Yes, it will affect RTE. Okay? Because what about those people who have not undertaken or who have not registered the birth? Although in the previous act, the original act of birth and death registration also, we have made it, government has made it mandatory that you register every birth, register every death, because it will affect the populations also, right? It was mandatory, but still people never did it, okay, because we do have option of matriculation certificate. Okay, so it was not taken very seriously. Now, because in educational institutions it has become mandatory, so RTE gets affected, right to education gets affected. Okay? It also will affect your driving license, voter ID or marriage registration, because in all these places only and only certificate required would be your birth certificate. Okay? Another provision, now we will be discussing about the provisions of the bill and then the issues of the present provisions. Okay? The provision of the bill says that Registrar General of India, this is at the national level. Now, Registrar General of India will maintain the national database. Okay, and to maintain this national database, it requires input from state ones. So, for state level, we have a Chief Registrar of Birth and Death. They will maintain the state level database. Okay, they are the ones who will issue the birth certificate or death certificate, and all this data will now enter into the central government's database. Okay. Plus, if a child is born, so we require Aadhaar number of parents during birth plus the hospital's competent authority. Their Aadhaar number also is required. Who has seen or who has registered, witnessed this birth occurring in their institutions. So what about those births who are not occurring in institutions, right? So for them, we do not have this part. So for them, the birth does not get registered. Or what is the provision related to that? So that becomes another problem in this act. Understood? Clear? I can ask questions, right? I can ask questions. Okay. See what we are discussing. This is one of the provision which says that Aadhaar number, whenever a birth is occurring, then the parents' Aadhaar number is mandatory. Okay? Apart from it, can be single mother, single father, divorcee, anybody, but we want parents' Aadhaar number. Okay? Apart from this, in whatever institution it has occurred, hospital may, if it is occurring, so hospital will have a competent authority whose Aadhaar number must also be added to get the birth registration, to get the birth certificate. Okay? So what about those births which are not occurring in hospital? Presently, we do have such births which are not occurring in hospital. Okay? Especially in those areas where proper health facilities are not provided. In last to last year, we did have such incident that a pregnant lady was not able to reach to hospital because first of all, there was no hospital at all in that area. Secondly, no ambulance facility. So the husband had to carry that pregnant lady in a cart and pull that cart, and she was not able to successfully, alive, she was not able to reach the hospital. The lady also died, the baby also died. So we do have such areas where cases wherein hospitals are not present. Okay. So what about their birth certificate? So only one single parent. Okay, I'll remove this. Parent or parents. Okay? Single mother, widow mother, single father, all such options are there. But at least one single father, they can adopt. Okay, so in that case, this will not be the part. But see, I'll give you option. In this provision itself, adoption is also added. Okay? In this, we also have added the provision of adoption. So the single father can also adopt. Okay. Acha. This is another contentious provision. This is again a problem. The cause of death is now mandatory. Okay? Why did that person die? In death registration, you must mandatorily mention why did that person die. Okay? Earlier this was optional, now it has become mandatory to mention. Okay? Also, if it is occurring inside a medical institution, then the medical representative must report the reason for this. Okay? Or if it is occurring outside the medical institution, for example, death has occurred, let's say, on road accident. Okay? So wherever the patient has been taken to, that medical institution must report the death. Okay? So that's what last disease, whichever doctor was treating the patient for the last disease, they will have to report the reason. But the reason must be coming from a medical professional only. Okay? Okay? That's what for example, it's a natural death because of old age. If it's a natural death, so that patient must be reporting to hospital lastly for some cure, right? Some cure, some ailments. So that medical professor, that medical practitioner becomes the person to report the cause of death. Okay? Can be sudden. So ultimately, you will have to take the person to if it is heart attack and death. There are actually so many problems, I would agree. That is correct. It is a problem. One of the issue is cause of the death as per WHO standards. Cause of death must be mentioned as per WHO standards. Now, WHO as of now does not recognize Ayush. So, what if the medical practitioner is an Ayush? Okay, and we do have such incidents. So, in village area, for typhoid, they will not come to hospital to take medicine. They will go to some Sadhu Baba, something that will happen. The patient might die after that, right? And what will they report? That the medical practitioner was an Ayush practitioner. What else will they report, right? So, and cause of death, we need to mention as per WHO standards, right? And it does not recognize as Ayush. Okay? So, that is also a genuine concern. This is also a genuine concern. What if the person dies of heart attack? Okay? So, if the death occurs before the final diagnosis, okay, let's say, no, why will they? Agreed. For natural disasters, we do have. For natural disasters, we have a provision. Okay? First, let us discuss the provisions. We'll come back to this contentious. We'll come back to class, please. We'll come back to class, please. Government has given you option of feeding your inputs. Okay, whenever a bill gets circulated, right, government asks you for your inputs. Please provide your viable inputs there also. Okay. Coming back to the class, provisions of the bill. So, provisions of the bill is also talking about speedy registration during a pandemic, and this introduction occurred because of COVID pandemic and a phase wherein too many deaths were occurring simultaneously, quickly. Okay. So, for this, we will now be having a provision under sub-registrar. Sub-registrar will be a position which is created to maintain maintain speedy registration of death. Okay. For that, we have a new office by the name sub-registrar. Okay. And registration process of adopted, abandoned, orphaned, surrendered children, all this registration must now be done. Okay. And who will register for them is those who are conducting the decadal census. Okay. Because for them, we do not have parents, right? So, all those who were conducting the decadal census, they will be the ones who will be undertaking the registration process here. Okay. One very big advantage here is we will be having a real-time data. We don't have to wait for 10 years to get that data, right? So, one very big advantage is a real-time data. Plus, government is planning to link all such data to any scheme that they are running. So, automatic identification of beneficiaries can be done. At least filtering out of beneficiaries can be done. For example, Sukanya Samriddhi. What is the Sukanya Samriddhi scheme? Sukanya Samriddhi scheme. No, no. Matruvandana is that is Matruvandana Yojana, institutional delivery. So Kanya Samriddhi scheme is registration of birth of girl child. Okay. So till 18 years of age, government will be funding insurance. Once they are reaching the age of 18 years, they will get that money. They can use this money for graduation or for marriage, anything. But till 18 years, government will be providing, creating a Sukanya Samriddhi fund, and this fund will give money to that parents of that girl child till 18 years of age. After completion of 18 years, it can be used for marriage or for graduation. Okay? This is the Sukanya Samriddhi scheme. So Sukanya Samriddhi scheme, so Sukanya Samriddhi scheme ke liye we want to recognize that 18 years of age, right? So automatic identification will come back. Okay, so automatic identification of beneficiary can be done, at least filtering out. We know that she's a female, we have to check whether 18 years of age has been done or not, completed or not. So such kind of filtering can be done. So we automatically will be able to identify beneficiaries. At least in some schemes, we will be able to do so. Okay? So linking database to such schemes can be a major factor wherein fake IDs can be removed, fake portfolios, fake profiles can be removed, right? This was the advantage or intention with which this act has been created, but there are problems associated to this. First of all, if the death occurs before the final diagnosis was done, okay. For example, let's say a person has consumed poison and come to hospital, okay. So by common logic, we know that the person is dying because he has consumed poison, okay. But later on, we diagnosed and found that, let's say, God forbid, but the person was suffering from AIDS. Okay? So the cause of death here, what do we do? Because the person has died immediately, so we are putting poison as the reason, right? But after diagnosis, it was found that the real cause was AIDS, because let's say that the poison was not very harmful or was not the cause of the death, right? So what if the death is occurring before the final diagnosis was done? So the cause of death can vary. Getting my point? No. What if it was not poisonous, very poisonous, or not fatal? Huh? No, I'm saying what if it was, it can cause some paralysis or anything, any minor, relatively minor injury. Allergic reaction. I'm saying it can be anything. Let's say a person came to hospital for, that's what I am getting example of hemophilia. You know hemophilia? What is hemophilia? Blood does not clot, right? So a simple wound injury will lead to blood loss, right? So let's say the person came to hospital suffering from hemophilia, genetic disorder, that a simple cut has occurred. Now, because I'm suffering from hemophilia, I know that this is not going to stop, so you need to stop this. I came to hospital for this, okay? But let's say I had some other inherent problem, okay? Let's say something else because of which I die, okay? So the cause of diagnosis before the diagnosis was done, what is the real cause of my death? Before that itself, the death has occurred. Okay? So what do we, doctor immediately might write the first reason, but then after diagnosis, we find out that the reason was something else. Getting my point? So that is one problem related to cause of death. The other problem is, it is as per WHO standards. Okay? So what if the practitioner was an Ayush practitioner? Okay? If the patient is undergoing treatment for a particular ailment and dies of another problem, okay? So that can still be, what do you mention as the cause of death? Okay? So cause of death is another problematic clause of this act. Okay? What about the Aadhaar number of deceased? We know if the person is taking birth, then we require Aadhaar number of parent or the medical competent authority. But what about Aadhaar number of a deceased, a person who has died? Okay? Is there any provision of recalling that Aadhaar, destroying that Aadhaar, or showing that the Aadhaar number will no more be valid, or its use in a death registration? What about, do we link it to death registration certificate? No such provision has been mentioned under this act. Okay?
Then the other number is used as, right? because if it is not,
So, but I'm saying the Aadhaar number would still continue, right?
no one could use it.
Can be used. I'll give you example. I'll give you example. अरे अभी तो recently CAG has come up with analysis of one of the schemes in which almost mobile numbers linking. Have you heard of this? 999999 same number linked to 117 people. What was the name of that? Ayushman Bharat, correct. I'll give you example from Ayushman Bharat only. CAG has come up. Who is CAG? Yes. Controller and Auditor General of India, CAG. What is the function of CAG? He audits the reports. He also checks whether if you have promised that you will be putting such and such amount of money in a scheme, have you genuinely used it or not? Okay, you did not redirect it to somewhere else. Okay? For this particular scheme, Ayushman Bharat scheme, the idea is the government is funding healthcare sector for any secondary and tertiary ailments. For example, typhoid, malaria, chicken pox, or any such ailments, or a tertiary sector. Matlab, if you are undertaking any facial surgery or any other problem, so government will provide insurance facility. Okay? Government will fund anything and everything related to your medical facility. You whatever medical facility a person requires for secondary and tertiary care. You people are not beneficiaries, so don't be happy. So I was saying for this, CAG has come up with a report and it is saying almost 117 people, 117 people have had one single phone number, that is 999999999. Almost 400 people have the same phone number by the name 88888888. 140 people only in Tamil Nadu have same Aadhaar number. Now they can misuse this, na? A person who is dead, their Aadhaar number they will be projecting in all such schemes, saying this was also a beneficiary, this was also a beneficiary, and all these beneficiaries are dead. 99 people are dead in that report also. And what government is giving justification, it is saying the person died during the cure, during the ailment. Government is misusing, is. Identity theft, it can be done. Oh, okay, because it is reported connected to death certificate. People misusing Aadhaar number, Manrega benefits or any Sukanya sir. Acha, you saying something? Nahi, you are using someone else. No, this is not possible. Person cannot misuse this because that is linked to the death certificate. Agreed. But government can misuse this. Aadhaar card. No. I don't think that is possible because see, let's say I go to vote and I carry my Aadhaar card. Don't have a voter ID, so I'll carry my Aadhaar card. You're saying this Aadhaar card they might carry for this Aadhaar card they might carry for the dead person. And for how will you get the Aadhaar card? And is my question. You will have to project Aadhaar card to vote. How will you cannot. Yeah, that you cannot do. Otherwise I can get your Aadhaar number also. Forget about dead people. It is not possible. I cannot access someone else's Aadhaar. I cannot. How else will someone? I can only get my family's Aadhaar card. Can't vote it also on that basis. I don't think there is an option of projecting showing someone else's.
Voter ID is fake. And it's a dead person. And that same dead person
And the face should also look similar. Oh my god. You can write stories. Okay, but we will discuss about this later on. Okay, but yes, it looks like very difficult to do that. Okay. Denial of right. So, okay. So we'll be coming back to the problem. So what about the Aadhaar number of disease? And the last problem is denial of right to education. Okay, because your birth certificate is the only document you are projecting to get admission to educational institute. What if you are not able to give your birth certificate? That means your right to education gets hampered. Okay. Okay, we'll begin with the third news item. Any confusion till here? Confusion? Oh, you want to write? Okay, okay. Louder, louder. I am also listening. Louder, louder. That one only theory. Louder. That's what I am also listening.
Usually when false voting is done, voter's ID is of some NRI or the deceased person is used, right? For voting. False voting. So at that time they have to present ID
Document.
proof.
So Aadhaar document.
ID proof, they can use
Aadhaar of a deceased person. But that's what in the electoral roll that they have the voter ID of you. Okay, they also have I don't know. They have Aadhaar number also, your Aadhaar number.
if it's a deceased person,
So that means you are first of all, a person who is going for a fake voter, and I being fake voter, I should be knowing the name of the deceased person. I should be knowing the voter ID of the deceased person, have a similar face, and the Aadhaar card. Yes, if you have all four, you can. If you have four, yes, you can. But still looks very difficult. But yes, you can. Under the new. Done writing with this slide. I'll change the slide. Is there a new?
Is there an option for linking the death certificate with the Aadhaar?
Linking. Yes. Like, that's what I'm saying. Even if you link Aadhaar with death certificate, then this problem can be solved, right?
if it's not properly, Aadhaar number is not properly registered with the certificate, then it could be a problem, right?
That's what. Here, if we have a provision of linking Aadhaar with death certificate, voting. Yes. Here under the new act there is a provision. Under the new act, so that solves this problem also, right? Projecting fake document, let's say for voting or for Ayushman Bharat. Identity theft also. Ayushman Bharat mein to can't do anything because government itself is misusing. But yes, identity theft can be stopped because of that. Okay. Under this act, we have provision of linking Aadhaar to death certificate. But repealing of that Aadhaar number is, for that we do not have any provision in the new act also. Whoever is registering that death. This problem can still be solved. What about the birth registration of these people? It will be the ones who will be conducting the decadal census. So in rest of it, for those who are having family, for rest of them we know, right? This is the child to these parents, right? So excluding them, rest can be grouped under adopted, abandoned, orphaned, surrendered children. Okay? Or any such old age lady also, or old age man also, abandoned, orphaned, and all that, or living alone. Okay? So the manner in which you are registering their birth, similar manners where you need to register their death. done by those people who will be conducting the decadal census. Or ye to by simple mathematics also this can be done, right? We know the net value. We know the net value of those who are having a family, and we know the net value of total population. So rest will be coming under this category, right? No confusion. It's the problem of decadal census people. Let it be left to them only. But yes, it will be registered. The death also will be registered. Birth will also be registered. Okay, done with this slide. Done with this one also. Oh, any confusion? Oh, this is also done. बोलना चाहिए था ना. Also done. How many are writing? Oh, right. Fast. Huh? Aadhaar number recalling, repealing, removal from the list of Aadhaar. I think this one question was asked in UPSC prelims. They asked this question ki, in the Aadhaar Act, UIDAI Act, do we have a provision of repealing, recalling the Aadhaar number of deceased? No, we do not have any provision. Done? After completing the third article, I'll give you guys break 5 minutes, okay? 5-10 minutes. Done? How many are writing? Take it from somewhere. Okay. We'll begin with next topic that is related to safe generative AI. What happened? Okay, we'll come back to class. Okay, coming back to next topic. This is related to generative AI systems. Okay. The problem here was, why did it come to news? Was this? Anybody recognizes what happened here? Not. It was bombing of Pentagon. Oh, actually you said Pentagon. I'm so sorry. I heard petrol. Okay. Yes. This was bombing of Pentagon, and which was posted in social media websites, and it led to stock market crashing of USA. Okay. No, not this one. This is a photoshopped image. This is not an AI generated image. This is just Photoshop. Okay. This was an AI generated image. Okay. This is very close to nearness, perfection. It exactly looks like if genuinely Pentagon would have faced an attack. Okay. So we started discussing about this. We are discussing this news because of that issue itself. Okay. So a simple post stating a Pentagon was bombed led to stock market crash. Okay. Then when we started finding about Pentagon, then we got to know from news media the Pentagon is safe and there was no bombing. So this was a fake image which was posted. Okay. I think we discussed this in last class also. Vladimir Putin's statement came up, right? Ukraine war has stopped. Now we are living in peace. So all this is a fake image, right? So AI in itself has become something very, very big. Okay. It can be deceiving, can be misused, or can be used positively also. Okay. So right now, AI revolution is undertaking place because of something new that has come up in the beginning of this year, that was ChatGPT. Okay. But basically right now we are living in a phase of AI revolution, artificial intelligence revolution. Okay. LLM, news experts say that LLM, we will be discussing about large language model, but LLM starts for large language model. Okay. LLM contributes to almost 2.6 trillion to 4 trillion per annum per P. Okay, P is missing here. So that is the contribution of LLM to economy. Okay, so this is their annual contribution, and there are also rising concerns related to deep fake. That's the reason we are discussing this. Okay, so before we shift to LLM, we need to first understand AI. Okay, artificial intelligence refers to a machine behaving in a manner in which we were expecting a human being to behave, right? For example, uh, here that intelligence part is something which is something very big. Okay, human beings are considered to be the most intelligent species right now. Okay, and if we can make a machine behave like a human being, that means the machine itself can think, can decide, can make decisions on its own. Okay, so it can do a task that it has not done earlier. Okay, here we need to classify this. Are you clear with AI? Clear with AI? So there is a difference between AGI and ANI. This is artificial general networks intelligence and artificial neural intelligence. Okay, can please tell?
Artificial neural intelligence works in a modulus manner. There are various models. It works on trial and error. Whereas generative image, it works on studying a subject and reproducing.
AGI refers to artificial general intelligence, and this has not been implemented on paper. In reality, this is all on paper only. Artificial general intelligence is only on paper. What you are seeing in movies like iRobot is actually AGI. Okay? This is artificial general intelligence. This is artificial narrow intelligence. Narrow, because here we are making a machine do a task which it is designed to do. It will do that particular task only, but it will do it in an intelligent manner. Okay, all of us have used a washing machine, right? So what do? In washing machine, you will dump clothes, you will set it, let's say to 30 minutes, or depending upon whether the cloth is cotton or daily use or something like that, you will make that settings, right? Ultimately, and you will put a surf and then it'll clean, right? That's the idea of washing machine. Task of washing machine is to wash clothes only. Okay, now in case of artificial narrow intelligence, if we develop a washing machine which is artificially intelligent, that will come under category of ANI. Okay, in such case, you dump the clothes in the washing machine and leave it. Okay, the machine itself will detect what kind of cloth it is, whether it's a daily use, whether it's a soft fiber, children's clothes, woolen, and make its own settings and use exact amount of surf or washing powder and clean it and take it out. Okay, this is artificial narrow intelligence, because that machine is bound to wash clothes. Its final task will also be to wash clothes only. Okay, it will just do it in an intelligent manner. I'll give you another example. Self-driven cars. Okay, so what is the task of a self-driven car? You put yes, they are machine learning. Yes, correct. They are machine learning. Yes, they are machine learning. Okay, machine learning is something wherein a machine is trained for certain inputs. Okay, what do we do is, let's say when we are crossing a road. Okay, you see that this is a how did we design? How did we get to know? Forget about red light or green light or orange light. If you are crossing a road, we got to know if the vehicle is coming, it can crash you. So I will not cross a road if the vehicle is coming. Okay. Second attempt, this was my first learning. So me as a machine, I will take a second attempt. I saw that the vehicle is far away and I tried crossing it. Okay? But then the machine, that car was fast enough to come and hit me. Okay? So this was my second attempt of failed learning. So I'll take a third attempt. I'll start again and I'll see the vehicle is that far, but its speed is this. So my speed of crossing should be fast enough that I cross safely. So this is a machine which is learning. This is known as reinforced learning. It is learning from its past mistake, correcting itself and reinforcing the correct values. Okay? So this is known as machine learning. This machine learning we undertake in ANI. Okay? Artificial narrow intelligence means we design a machine to become intelligent, but it is performed to do a narrow task only. For example, a self-driven car. Self-driven car mein you fit a source, you fit a destination. You feed a source, you feed a destination. Okay? If it becomes artificially intelligent, while going on the track itself, it will see, okay, this road is closed, I'll shift to this road. While going, I saw, achha, this road may closure, too much traffic, I'll shift to this road. This is an artificially intelligent machine, but it is designed to only pick you up from one location, drop you to the other location. It will not dance for you, it will not paint for you, it will not give you a creative idea, right? Its only task is to pick you up and drop you, right? Or machine's only task was to wash clothes. So we are calling this as narrow intelligence. Okay? General intelligence is a machine which can do all the tasks that a human being can do. From washing clothes to thinking, to writing, to talking, dancing, anything and everything. Okay? So that is known as a general intelligence. All the inputs of ANI is actually feeding as all the output of ANI is actually feeding as an input to AGI. Okay, and AGI is that robot that you are seeing in movies. This machine will be super intelligent, which can harm human beings as a race also. Okay, so that is AGI. Okay, these are some of the examples wherein, okay, a confusion clear with respect to GI and NI. Sure. Okay, so these are certain examples where we are using artificial intelligence. NHAI is using it for facial recognition. Okay, attendance marking through facial recognition, and Government of India is undertaking a portal by the name Bhashini. Okay, Bhashini will be a WhatsApp chatbot. So let's say a farmer has to decide which crop to grow in a particular season. It will say in whatever language. Let's say in Kannada, it makes a request. Okay, Bhashini, tell me speaking in Kannada. Okay, Bhashini, tell me what crop I should be growing in this particular season. Okay, and it will get an output in Kannada only. Okay. So this is a language model which is trained for various languages. It can listen to your local language, dialect, understand it, translate it to English, give you answer in your own local language. Okay? So such models of machine we call them as language model. Okay? It is so far for official language only. They have not even developed it. They are seeking input from public. They are just asking public, come and in your own language you just speak a dialect or one single line, because same Kannada is spoken by different people in a different way, right? So a language model should be trained to understand all this kind of Kannada. Okay? That is what is happening in Bhashini portal. Okay? So one problem related to artificial intelligence is deep fake. Deep fake is basically LLM we did not discuss. Large language model. So you understood what is a language model? Everybody? Can somebody explain? No? Understood? Understood? You.
Basically, uses data that predominantly revolves around language and builds on.
A language model will be a machine which is trained for language. Okay? It can be one single language, it can be many languages, but it is trained for language, identifying a language, translating it to English, getting the response, and replying in your own local language. It's like Alexa, but Alexa responds in English, right? Can respond in Hindi also. At least Google Nest responds in Hindi also. No, I'm talking about vernacular language. In general, Hindi or English, I'm talking about Kannada, Rajasthani, Bhojpuri, and all such language. Okay? So we understood a language model as a machine which can understand a particular language, right? Or revert back in a particular language. If we're calling a language model as a large language model, this is trained on a big, huge data set. If any machine is trained on a huge data set, it will be very, very expert in that language, right? So you imagine only one person teaching me Kannada and the entire class separately teaching me Kannada. Okay? So my language knowledge would be much wider if I am getting such huge input. That is the example of large language model. A machine which is trained on to learn a particular language from too many large input. Okay? So basically for a large language model, the input and output are always text. The input is also text, output is also text. Okay? That is the case with large language model. But that is not the case with generative AI. Okay? Generative AI can generate a text, can generate a video, audio, or anything. I'll give you time to write, but please understand this. Okay, so generative AI is something that can generate text, video, audio, anything. Okay, if you have you ever used ChatGPT? Anybody use ChatGPT? What do you feed as an input? Let's say in example. That that you can do in Google also, na?
Example tour guide. You can ask for a tour guide which will provide you with the places and the distance and the places, everything.
Correct. Google is basically a search engine. Okay, if you search something, what are G20 countries, it will give you all the links which are describing about G20. It will not itself describe about G20. Okay? But in case of Chat GPT, it will itself describe about G20. But I was not talking about this example. Have you tried getting UPSC answers from them, from Chat GPT? Not MCQ, mains. So that means it can generate a text, right? It can generate. For example, you ask them one question that I'll be giving you today. No, you write it here. Let's say how to resolve the gender issues of India. Okay? And you type this in Chat GPT. Every time you click on enter button, it will give you different answers. That means it is generating a text, right? Then you don't need to do any assignments. You can simply copy paste that, right? So this is a problem. This is genuinely a problem. If you are not able to think, this is a problem, right? So generative AI can basically generate a text, a video, audio, or any such image or any such document. Okay? That is the advantage of generative AI. Generative AI is basically an extension to LLM. Okay? Large language model, it is only text input, text output. This is audio input, audio output, video input, video output. Okay, so generative AI is something much wider and bigger as compared to LLMs. Okay, are you getting bored? You're very sad that you're not getting bored. Okay, coming back to class, so deepfake. So I was saying deepfake is another problem. For example, Pentagon burning, or this is not a deepfake, but I wanted to show you what Photoshop can do and what AI can do. Okay, if you simply click on I have seen search results coming from various AI machines wherein they have simply typed, they have put an image, okay? Image of a mountain and a man standing just near the mountain. They have put this as an input and they are asking as an output, generate an image of water in front of this mountain and a reflection of this mountain. And the image, oh my God, what kind of image they have generated? It's exactly real. It looks exactly real and it's a machine generated image. So I'm saying such kind of image can be generated which in reality does not exist. Okay? So that is a very big problem. Now the problem here is, as we discussed, that you don't need to do assignments. Why read to why think? We have shifted from the problem of why read to why think. For example, this generation might not. Do you remember anybody's phone number? How many? Huh? Mother and father. 4 or 5 maximum? 10. Good memory. Okay. So in general, I'm saying it is 4 or 5. Okay. The time when we used to use landlines, I don't know this generation has ever seen a landline or not. Okay, I'm saying there was a time we used to go to STD booths, PCO booths after 11 o'clock because the charges were very less at that time. Okay? That time we used to write down phone numbers on diary and from list to list, uncle, maternal uncle, paternal uncle, grandmother, grandfather, all these phone numbers we used to remember. Now Google or the smartphones that you are using, you can directly search it, right? We have earlier, because of Google, we are already in a phase of why to read. Okay, we have certain objections to UPSC asking factual questions, right? Because these facts will change. So why should I read, right? If the prime minister of a country is changing today, why should I read about the name of the prime minister? that is the objection we do to UPSC or even to state PCS, right? So we are right now in a phase of why to read because Google has all the answers. Now we are entering into a phase of why to think because generative AI can generate any text, right? Why do you need to think how to remove poverty? Why do you need to think what are the problems related to feminization of poverty or feminization of agriculture? So we have shifted the problem from why to read to why to think because of all thanks to this generative AI. Okay? We have also a new problem which is occurring. Can we do this to should we do this? Okay, and this is a problem of deep fakes. Can we do this? Can be a simple question, can we try doing this? Have you ever tried doing this? Okay, but this question people will stop thinking whether should we be doing this. For example, burning of Pentagon, right? In initial idea it was just that can you show me a burning Pentagon image, right? But from there the person shifted to should I post this on social media or should I create this and post it on social media to create a national news, right? So now the problem of ethics has also entered, wherein we have shifted from the problem of can we do this to should we do this. Okay? Misinformation and disinformation is also a very big problem of AI. For example, deep fakes and decision making capability of such machines is a problem. For example, AGI, what I'm saying, which is right now on paper, these machines can think and decide on their own. It's a problem, right? For example, I think we were discussing this in this class only. If you ask Sophia, the robot, Anna, we discussed in this class only, right? Whether you choose between war and peace, and she chose war. Okay, humanity and robots, and she chose robots, right? So such kind of decision making capability is a problem, right? Interfaces such as chatbot influence more than social media. For example, if you start chatting on chatbots, whether our prime minister is genuinely working for environment or not, whether our prime minister is genuinely working for democracy or not, the chatbot itself can decide what will be our next voting in the next elections.
Because every invention uses human effort. This is also
Nahi. See, this kind of effort should not be reduced. That why do you think? Okay? Thinking capability should always be there. Okay. When TV was introduced, when we had smart TV, so came very very late in picture. But when we had TV, I have not seen this. My parents belong to, or your parents or grandparents might be coming from that generation, wherein they saw the TV for the first time. They used to call that as an idiot box. Genuinely, they used to call that as an idiot box because that is the time wherein you are not thinking at all. You're just seeing what is there, right? So that was the first introduction of why to think, and now we are a phase into a phase that why should we read or why should we think if generative AI is generating everything, right? So we still need thinking capability. That is not something that we should be losing. Correct. Acha, water consumption is also something very big problem related to AI. So to train a particular model, okay, we need big servers, huge servers, and these huge servers will generate too much amount of heat. So we need coolant to cool this. Okay, this coolant is usually water. So the water consumption to train a model is also quite high. Okay, that is an environmental issue related to AI. Okay. So what can be the solution? Solution is, first of all, identity assurance framework to reduce the deep fakes. Okay, identity assurance framework is talking about privacy. Identity assurance framework, for example, me and she, both of us are communicating. She got a message from me, I want your bank account number, okay? Or I want the QR code which you have just now received. So there should be an identity assurance that it is only me which is asking this question. It is not a machine which is asking this question. So that is identity assurance framework. There should be an assurance of the identity, the two people who are communicating. Okay? So for that we require authenticity, and there will be certain breach of privacy here. Sorry, there should not be any breach of privacy here because we want this information only to be between these two people. For example, WhatsApp. Have you, all of you have used WhatsApp? At the top of the screen of any communication, you will see this WhatsApp chat is end-to-end encrypted. What does it mean? Third parties cannot. So we do have privacy here. Third parties cannot see that chat. That means we do have privacy. So that means if she has got a question coming from me, First of all, what she requires is an authentic information that this is that person only whom I know. And secondly, it should be a private information only between we two, right? Secondly, second solution can be information integrity. Information integrity can be categorized into three parts. The first one is source validation, whether the information we are getting is basically coming from the correct source or not. Okay? For example, somebody reported Pentagon burning. So is it coming from the person who has actually seen this image or not? Okay? Source validation. Second is content integrity. Content integrity matlab the content is real or not. Okay, this information should also be checked for when the information is getting transmitted. It should also be checked for the content integrity, whether the information is true or not. And the last part is information validity. Information validity matlab it should be in a valid range. For example, human's height, they should not be writing it as the height of the person is 1 meter, because it is not possible. 1 meter person, okay, 0.5 meters or 0.2 meters. This is such kind of invalid data should not be coming. Okay? A person reported to have a tail. This is not possible. So information validity is something that we need to check whenever the information is getting transmitted. Okay? Any confusion till here? No? Content integrity can be mended by data fiduciaries. Okay. Okay. Coming to the solutions. The solution is China has banned any such kind of deep fake visuals. Okay. If the creator is not having permission to do so and they are creating a deep fake visual, then such authority gets immediately banned in China. Okay. One such option. Second option is all the generators and users of AI, OpenAI, Alphabet, Meta platform. OpenAI is the one who is ChatGPT, correct. So all these have pledged together that they will be watermarking the content, that this is the original content. Okay? If you do not see the watermark there, that means it can be a fake content. Okay? They have promised this promised this whatever content we are generating, we will be putting a watermark to it. Okay? And such governance policies, what China is doing it, as soon as they got to know that this is a deep fake visual, I will ban the organization, the institution itself, or the creator itself. So such kind of governance ke liye we would require good surveillance network. China definitely has a surveillance network because they do not have democracy, but we have democracy. We cannot. This will come to the contravention of right to privacy. If you are surveilling, for example, whatever we are communicating, content integrity, validity, information validity, source confirmation, all this it can be possible only if we are running in a country or living in a country who is continuously undertaking surveillance of communication, right? This is not possible in case of India. Okay? So this solution is right now not possible in India, but this solution is definitely possible. How do they do? Text. It's a document, right? ChatGPT text. That's what. If they are giving, for example, you are trying to use it somewhere. Okay? So and you are getting a document from them, that document can be watermarked, right? Just the output of ChatGPT in a text form, that cannot be watermarked. That is what you're saying, right? I'm saying if they are giving you a document which you want to use it somewhere, that document can be watermarked. Okay? Huh? We'll take a break. Rest of you can take a break. is an example of semiconductor. Okay, semiconductor actually looks like this. You have seen this in motherboard of various machines, right? So it looks like this. So it will address the demand which is being created by us. Okay, and it will also diversify. For Japan, it will diversify because Japan, US, and Netherlands, they have a grouping. Okay, they have a grouping that they do sell their products to China. They don't want to sell their semiconductor products to China. So India can act as an alternative source. Japan is a part of this grouping because US does not want to sell it to China. So automatically Japan cannot sell it to China. So it is redirecting all such market to India because we are creating demands. Our automobile sector demand needs it. Okay? So it will also help us address the supply chain challenge because this year itself, in the month of January, this year itself, we have faced an immense semiconductor related crisis, shortage. Our automobile sector had to give a waiting period of 4 to 5 months to deliver one car because of shortage of semiconductors. Okay? And this MOU between India and Japan will also reduce the Chinese dominance in this sector. So presently, China is heavily dominating the semiconductor sector because of the presence of raw material which is present in China. Okay? Japan is a leading producer and India is a leading consumer, so we have a coherence. We are creating that demand which is being addressed by China. And China has an initiative called Society 5.0. Society 5.0 aims to address the social concerns. Okay? Social concerns related to vulnerability of a section of society, vulnerability of area, or addressing poverty, education, health related issues. That is the idea of Society 5.0. It's an initiative going on in Japan to address such concerns. Okay? It is in coherence with Make in India program of India, because in Make in India we are emphasizing on manufacturing sector. Okay? With zero effect, zero defect, we are emphasizing on our manufacturing sector. So whatever you manufacture and semiconductors under Society 5.0, your Society 5.0 problem will be resolved in India because we have poverty, health issues related problem. So that can be resolved. Okay? Okay. Now coming to India-Japan relations. Okay, in the March this year also, Japanese PM had visited India. Okay? And 2 objectives have been signed, 2 MOUs, 2 agreements were signed at that time also. The first one was $75 billion will be funded to Free and Open Pacific. Free and Open Pacific is one of the prime agenda of Japan. Prime agenda, I'm saying. Free and Open Pacific is related to US and Japan trying to keep China free Pacific. Okay? Pacific Ocean should be not dominated by China or not dominated by Russia is the agenda of Free and Open Pacific. So for this, Japan is also funding, US is also funding. Okay? So Japan is calling us to come to do trade in Pacific region, and Japan is ready to fund us in that manner. Okay? G7 and G20 agenda have a food security issues due to Ukraine crisis. In G7 and G20, both these groupings discuss the food crisis. Okay? G7 countries consists of majorly European countries other than America and Canada. It majorly consists of European countries who are all facing food crisis because of Ukraine. Okay? So these 2 groupings problem was also discussed in Japanese PM's meet to India. Okay? Now, challenges of semiconductor industry. First challenge is supply side constraint because of COVID. So because of COVID, see, semiconductor is a sector wherein you will see a sudden bulge. Immediately you will see there is too much in supply and suddenly the supply will come down. Okay, there is fluctuation in supply and demand in case of a semiconductor industry. Okay, so because during the COVID phase, we faced supply side shortage. Okay. Right now we have, or at least from past 1 year, Russia-Ukraine war is going on, and Russia is a supplier of palladium. Palladium is one of the inputs to semiconductor industry. Okay? Ukraine, on the other hand, is a supplier of neon gas, which is required for semiconductor conductor fabrication industry. Okay? So this is again creating problems. Plus all factors of production are very costly. So factors of production will include entrepreneurship. So the labor part, land though is costly right now everywhere. Okay? The entrepreneurship part is costly. The labor part is very costly because you need skilled labor to work in semiconductor industry. So that makes the semiconductor industry itself very costly. Okay? The factors of production are very costly and the raw materials are majorly lying in either China or Taiwan. Okay? China to a great extent. So because of all these constraints, because of COVID, because of Russia-Ukraine war, or because of raw materials lying in China and the factors of production being very costly, semiconductor shortage was occurring and which led to a major automobile sector crisis in India this year, beginning of this year. Okay? So what has government done? We have come up with the India Semiconductor Mission, ISM. Under this, we are actually developing new facility, fabrication facility will be developed by government of India to manufacture semiconductors in India, domestic manufacturing. Okay? And for this, we have started a scheme by the name Design Linked Incentive Scheme. Now, Design Linked Incentive Scheme is not limited to semiconductors. Okay? It is associated to anything in manufacturing industry wherein you can think of as creative design. Okay? Creative design to minimize the required inputs, to minimize energy, to minimize labor, to minimize land, any area, even solar photovoltaics, maybe we have design linked incentive schemes. So if you can think of, if a company can think of a new idea to reduce the consumption of any of the raw material required for the production of that, it can make use of the design linked incentive scheme. Okay? So the same scheme can be used in semiconductor industry also. Okay? And 30% support will be given for ATMP. ATMP stands for Assembly, Testing, Marking and Packaging. Okay? 30% support will be provided for ATMP. So that means even if you are not manufacturing semiconductor, but you are assembling it. Okay? In a motherboard, you would have seen too many semiconductors, right? So even if you are creating a motherboard, you are assembling the semiconductor chips or testing the semiconductor chip or marking or packaging, then for that also the government will be providing 30% support, financial support. Okay? Apart from this, we have also signed an FTA with Taiwan. Taiwan, I told you, second largest producer of all the raw materials, palladium, gallium, neon, all these are present in Taiwan. Okay? Second largest producer, and we have signed a free trade agreement with Taiwan. What is a free trade agreement? Without to nahi, but reduce the tariff. FTA talks about reducing the tariff, inter-country trade charges, whatever is being implemented. It can be import, it can be export, customs, anything. All such charges is to be reduced under FTA. Okay? So we have signed such an FTA with Taiwan to reduce the cost of input coming from Taiwan. Okay? Now, with respect to, so that was related to the semiconductor industry. Okay? Now, here itself we will be covering the Indo-Japan relations. So, here also we will be covering the Indo-Japan relations. Indo-Japan relations has been in general very healthy, has remained very healthy until the Russia-Ukraine war. Okay? So, Indo-Japan relations may, the first thing comes up is ODA, developmental assistance. This is developmental. Can somebody check, please? Full form of ODA? Developmental assistance is for sure. Japan's ODA to India. Offshore development. Official development assistance. Official, na? Official development assistance. So Japan is undertaking infrastructural projects in India. Okay? For example, Metro Rail Corporation is also an ODA from Japan to India. It's an official development assistance in which they are providing finance, they are providing technical assistance. So whatever you require, you take it and develop the infrastructure. Okay? ODA is majorly directed to infrastructural development in India. Okay? And apart from this, Japan is the only country with whom we trust that if you enter into Northeast, you will develop that region and leave. You will not cause problems in that region. Japan is the only country with whom we trust. We have built this trust relationship. Okay? So Japan is also under the Act East Forum, Japan is also developing infrastructural facilities in northeastern India. In northeast, roads construction is not. Not all the roads. BRO is also there, na? But they are taking up infrastructure. Matlab, over a period of time, it might reflect, but road construction is being carried out by Japan. Okay. Quad grouping is between, who are the Quad members? India, Japan, US and Australia. So these are four countries. For all of them, the common enemy is China. So Quad grouping is actually anti-China grouping. Okay? So both of us have coherence with a common enemy also, that is China. Okay. Indo-Pacific, I told you, Indo-Pacific is very important for both Japan as well as USA, because they do not want, this is region close to China, close to Russia. Okay. So these two countries must always be vigilant in who are moving in Pacific Ocean. That is why they want, if they say free in Indo-Pacific Ocean, they mean to say free of China and Russia. Okay. And the civil nuclear agreement. India and Japan have signed a civil nuclear agreement. I think we discussed this last class. I mean, in different class. Japan is the only India is the only country which is a non-signatory to NPT, non-signatory to Non-Proliferation Treaty, with which Japan is ready to sign a civil or has signed the civil nuclear agreement. Okay? Otherwise, all the countries which are members, signatories to NPT, they will happily trade amongst themselves. They say ki you will be using uranium for fuel only. I know that, I trust you because you are a signatory to NPT. So you will not be misusing it for a nuclear missile. Okay? But what they do is ultimately very different thing. But at least on paper, they are trading by saying ki I am using it for nuclear fuel only. Okay? We have not signed the NPT itself. We say that all these countries, you have already manufactured your nuclear missile, you are already ahead in the race, and now you are saying that stop proliferating. Okay, we will say that we will not be designing or developing nuclear missiles, but whatever nuclear fuel you give me, I'll use it for energy only. Okay, I'll not be developing nuclear missiles. You trust me on this, but I'll not be signing the proliferation treaty. Okay, because you keep this in mind that you have proliferated, running ahead in race and then stop the race. Okay, so let me reach till your point and then I'll stop proliferating. Okay, ultimately India has never signed NPT, and non-signatory to NPT also, Japan has this trust that it is ready to sign the civil nuclear agreement. Civil nuclear agreement talks about technology transfer, fuel transfer, raw material, financial assistance, anything required to develop a nuclear fuel, nuclear energy. Okay? But there are certain issues in India-Japan relationship also. The issue first is related to Russia, because till now we have been considering Russia as a very good friend. Okay, let's see what happens tomorrow, because tomorrow is a big day for us. Chandrayaan 3 is landing. Okay, Russia's it crashed, right? All of us know, and we were into a kind of race, space race. Okay, although we still have a very good relationship with Russia, but it is now deteriorating, because only for few months we were openly in support of Russia. Okay, Russia did not do an incorrect thing attacking Ukraine. At least we were not making such statements in General Assembly. We abstained from voting itself. Okay, till now we have had a good relationship with Russia. Now tomorrow things might change. Okay, but as of now the things are very healthy. Now because it is healthy, it is not healthy for them. If we have good relations with Russia, it is not, Japan is not happy with it. Okay. Another issue is related to World Trade Organization, Osaka tracking. Anybody who has attended IR class might be knowing about it. What was Osaka track? Free flow of data. Japan or any developed country would want free flow of data. Okay, but we are not. We are talking about data localization. We are saying you are making use of data, our data, to sell products to us only. For example, you are watching something in YouTube and you got a recommendation from Myntra. Okay? You shifted to, let's say you got a recommendation from Amazon. Okay? You, instead of watching that video, you click on that and you get the product from Amazon. Ultimately, who got the money? Amazon. Seller also, whoever has sold the product, he has also got, but Amazon also got the money, right? So that means your data stored in another country, they earned the money right out of it, right? we are saying we will localize all this data. We will put all this data within India itself. Okay? So whatever money has to be earned, we will only earn. Okay? For example, you are watching something in YouTube because I know as a government, I know that you are making use of this data. So I will show you recommendations. Let's say you buy a product from Khadi Village and Industries, KVIC, Government of India undertaking. Or you buy a product, let's say from Myntra, which is the Government of India, within India. Your money will remain within India if we start localizing data. It can go. You can still buy products from Amazon. I'm not saying that. But at least this kind of changing your tendency, buying things, this was not required, right? You were watching a video, you saw something and then you bought it. Okay? Such kind of redirection to buy something, to sell off something, this can be made use of if we localize the data within India itself. Okay? So India wants all data to be localized. So was the case with European Union also. They also have GDPR. GDPR is also talking about localizing European data within the European boundary itself. So similarly, we are also making a claim. Okay? Countries like Japan and USA, they are believing on Osaka track of WTO. WTO stands for World Trade Organization, which is talking about free trade. WTO's main agenda is free trade. Now, Osaka track the proposal made by Japan or USA is that you allow free trade, free movement of data outside the country from developing countries like India. Okay? And to that we have objected. So that has strained the relationship between India and Japan. Clear? Not very clear? From which part? Only Osaka track? So can you explain the previous point? Huh? Is it clear? Yeah. Okay. Please tell me if it is not clear. Please tell me. Please raise your hands if you did not understand the contentious issue between India and Japan as related to Osaka track. Understood?
What are the Kuril
Oh, I did not discuss this part. Kuril Islands is actually a series of islands connecting Russia and Japan. Okay? Russia claims that Kamchatka Peninsula and Kuril Islands is claimed by Russia because it's a petroleum-rich region. Okay? In general, Japan is not having resource. No, nothing at all. Okay? It is only believing on hard work, and a country which has entered into the developed list of countries only with hard work is Japan. Okay? So, relations with Russia is strained because of Kuril Islands and Kamchatka Peninsula. There is one more piece of island here, problematic. Please check the location of these two when you go back home today. I don't think you have Atlas here, na? You don't have. Please check the location of Kuril Islands and Kamchatka Peninsula. You will see that it is connected between Russia and Japan. Okay? A problem, the contentious issue is it is a petroleum rich region claimed by Russia. Okay? As of now, Japan has not made any claim, but at least if they can reach up to Kuril Islands, they come very close to the coast of Japan. Okay? Confusion? No. Okay. So another WTO issue, we will discuss Osaka track later on, but tell me if you understood this part. They have their problem. Okay? So WTO issue we discussed, but I'll discuss with you later on again. Trade, whatever we have between India and Japan, right now it is far below potential. Okay, we need to work upon it. We need to look at the differences, remove the differences, and improve the trade relations. By doing this, we will improve our relationship with Japan. Okay. Okay, done with this. You want to write that one? You have to write one answer also, and it's already almost 4:15. Is that okay if I share the slides? I'll definitely share the slides, but please manage. We have to cover this poverty topic. It'll be over quickly. I want you guys to write answer because that is very important. Okay? Is already ready. Okay. So the key to India's hunger challenge, focus on gender sensitive growth, was the article, I think Indian Express ne, they have discussed this article, and it is all rooted to our Prime Minister's statement. Okay, our Prime Minister made this statement that in past 5 years 135 million people have moved out of poverty. Okay? And this is as per Niti Aayog's multidimensional poverty index. What do we mean by multi-dimensional poverty index is my question. Have you heard of MPI? Now, what is it? Who has heard? Huh? Correct. Multi-dimensional poverty index. See, the idea of poverty is, in general, in layman's language, if you are earning less than this amount per capita per day, so we are calling you poor. Okay? That is what was followed by Tendulkar committee also. That was followed by Rangarajan committee also. They made a recommendation: 32 rupee in rural area, 44 rupee in urban area. If you are earning less than this, that means you are a poor. We will be calling you either BPL or APL on the basis of what is your per capita income per day. Okay? So that was the idea earlier. But there was one person from Pakistan. He was an economist from Pakistan, genuinely very renowned person. And he was the co-worker with Amartya Sen. Okay, both of them working for poverty only. They proposed that poverty is never a measure of per capita income only. Okay? It should also be measured in terms of health. It should also be measured in terms of education. So then we came up with the idea of multi-dimensional poverty index. Okay? MPI takes into account three areas: health, education, and standard of living. Okay? Niti Aayog says that we will be using these many indicators: 3 plus 2, 5 plus 6, 11, 12 indicators. Within these three, we have 12 factors for which we need to check. If you are poor in this, poor in this, poor in this, then I'll be calling you as poor. Okay? Other than that, I'll not be calling you as poor. Matlab, it also includes health, it also includes education and standard of living. Standard of living in HDI parameters, UNDP, United Nations Development Program, has a parameter of calculation. I'll give you time to write. Please look at my face. Okay. UNDP, United Nations Development Program, calculates these parameters on the basis of standard of living also. So in that standard of living, they are only calculating per capita income. But what Niti Aayog has designed, it is also looking, if your standard of living, it cannot be measured only in terms of per capita income. What kind of cooking fuel you are using? Are you using wood? Okay? What kind of sanitation practices you are using? Do you get safe drinking water? Or do you have toilets built inside your house? Or what kind of drinking water? Do you have electricity at your home? Do you have a housing facility, assets and bank account? If you have all of this, only in that case, I'll not be calling you as poor. If you do not have any 3 out of these indicators, then you will be categorized as poor. So Niti Aayog or Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, it is much more comprehensive as compared to UNDP's HDI. Okay? Human Development Index. It also works on the same 3 parameters, but its indicators are very few. Only per capita income for standard of living, only years of schooling for education, and only MMR and IMR values for health. Okay? But see our value. We are also checking nutrition, child adolescent mortality, and antenatal care. So India's Niti Aayog's multidimensional poverty index or global multidimensional poverty index, it is much more comprehensive as compared to UNDP's HDI. Okay? Recently, I think in the beginning of last month or in the middle of July itself, Niti Aayog had come up with its report. Okay? And it said that we have witnessed a significant decline in poverty. And the maximum decline is amongst the states of Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Odisha, and UP. And these 3 associated states. Who has come out of Bihar? Who has come out of Bihar? Which state has come out of Bihar? Jharkhand. What about MP? Chhattisgarh. What about Uttarakhand? Uttarakhand. Oh. What about Telangana? This is known. Okay. So I am saying these states have the worst indicators of health, education, and per capita income. Okay? We do not call this now by this name, but earlier they were known as the Bimaru states. Okay? It's kind of derogatory, so we do not follow this. But in terms of reality, this is genuinely Bimaru. Their indicators are of health, education, and per capita income is actually extremely poor. Okay? So it says, as per the Niti Aayog's MPI, it says that there has been a maximum decline in very poor states. These are the very poor states. Okay? And maximum decline in the rural area of these poor states. Thus, the number has significantly increased because we worked on targeted areas of rural India of worst affected states. Okay? So the numbers improved significantly. So 135 million is actually a number coming from Niti Aayog itself. Okay? Poverty ke liye, there is some numbers that we need to remember. This is during independence, our poverty level was 80%. 80% of the population was poor. Okay? Presently, we have around 15%, and we are set to abolish it in 10 years. Okay? We don't need to remember these indicators, but it is relatively comprehensive as compared to the global MPI also. Okay? Two indicators are extra here. One is bank account because the government started Jan Dhan Yojana, and the other one was here we have one nutrition, child and all, antenatal care. Antenatal care is not there, huh? Antenatal care because we what was the initiative of institutional delivery? The scheme started by this government for institutional delivery. Anybody else? We have come up with two schemes that time. Okay, Matru Vandana and Janani Suraksha. Now the two schemes have been merged right now. But at that time, this government, when it came up with two schemes for institutional delivery because there was an incident wherein a construction laborer, she delivered the baby at the construction site itself, and the baby was not alive. It did not survive. Okay? So the problems there, from there it started. We started discussing in media. Why did that lady not come to hospital? Because she could not lose at least 1 day's salary. Also is very important for that lady. Okay, so she cannot lose that 1 day's salary. Plus, who will provide with medicines? Who will provide with care? Okay, if she goes to hospital, who will look after? Once she starts coming to work back, who will look after the child? Okay, so because of all these reasons, she did not report to the institution, to the hospital. So we came up, or the government came up with both the schemes, Janani Suraksha Yojana and Matru Vandana Yojana, which was within half a year itself, it was merged. Okay? Now we are right now following only Janani Suraksha Yojana. Matru Vandana Yojana is not followed. JSY, by this name you will be finding it in papers. Janani Suraksha Yojana, and this is a very renowned scheme. Immense development has occurred. Institutional deliveries has increased by 49%. 49%. You imagine? Every second lady is now reporting to hospital for institutional delivery. Okay? So because our government, this government has started these two schemes, so they have added two indicators in Niti Aayog's MPI. This is, I'm saying, even more comprehensive as compared to the global MPI. Okay. Okay. So the article was discussing that as soon as a country gets independence, it needs to work on, most importantly, hunger and poverty. Okay? So for tackling hunger, we moved from green revolution to white revolution, and still we do have the persisting issues such as the double burden of disease. Okay, green. What was green revolution? What did we do in agriculture? HYV seeds, hybrid high yield variety seeds were introduced, and better irrigation practices, better fertilizer use of pesticides was introduced to increase the productivity. So this was green revolution. What about milk? Okay, what about pink? One of the previous year questions. Huh? It's correct. Fishes, meat. Pink revolution is related to meat. It can be fishes, it can be any other form of meat also. Golden revolution? No, golden is jute only. Golden is jute. Pink revolution is fish plus meat. Blue revolution. Okay, I will agree. but I wrote an answer fishes also. Okay, but yes, just confirm this once. Blue Revolution is fishes. There were two committees, Meena Kumari and Dilip Kumar. These are two very renowned actors of Bollywood, and on their names only the two committees were made. One was inline fishing. Huh? All pink, pink, right? So pink is any meat other than fish. So Blue Revolution is only fish, right? Okay. Blue Revolution is only fish. Pink is only meat. Okay. I one pointer was extra in my answer. Okay. So coming back to hunger. So persisting issues is right now we are suffering from double burden of disease. Now, come on, class. Answer. The answer is something very important. Okay. So double burden of disease is something problematic because till now we were only discussing about malnourishment. Okay, protein deficiency. What is the disease caused because of protein deficiency? Marasmus, correct. Marasmus occurring because of protein deficiency. Okay, so we were till now basically, or kwashiorkar. Okay, all this, general deficiency. So in general, malnourishment was our focus. Okay, after the last report coming from WHO and Family Health Survey, we got to know that we are not only suffering from this, we are also suffering from overnourishment, obesity, non-communicable diseases, NCDs, or diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, CVDs, okay? Or sedentary, any disease related to sedentary lifestyle. These are the new emerging issues. So right now we are suffering from the double burden of disease of malnourishment as well as overnourishment. Okay? Okay, for this you need to check the data from Family Health Survey. Okay, this is the data from Family Health Survey only. But if you have to write in your answer IMR, MMR data, please check the value coming from NFHS 5, which is the last updated data. NFHS 5. Okay? It says that around 30%, I'm saying approximately 30% are stunted and similar numbers are underweight also. Stunted matlab low height to weight ratio, low height to age ratio and low weight to age ratio is underweight. Okay? It also talks about overnourishment. It says that 20% of men and women are overweight and so is the case with malnourishment. So 20% of men and women are malnourished, 20% of men and women are overnourished also. Okay? Obesity, suffering from obesity. And there are climate change induced issues which are emerging related to hunger. So that means we are suffering from food crisis, right? So because of all of this, these are the persisting problems. Even if we have introduced green revolution, pink revolution, white revolution, we still have certain issues to tackle such as double burden of disease or climate change induced food crisis. Okay? Another problem is related to poverty. Okay, and this is important, extremely important. I have missed this in society class. Please remind or circulate it. Okay, it's extremely important because the idea was generated in India. Amartya Sen says that poverty is not a deprivation, normal deprivation. Okay, it says that it is a capability deprivation, that the person was not capable of accessing a particular resource. Okay, he classified this as, and this NCERT also recognizes that poverty is lack of accessibility, affordability and availability. This you will see in NCERT also, in poverty and human development economics NCERT. Okay? The idea was also of Amartya Sen. He spoke about capability deprivation and he quoted this as unfreedom. Okay? If you are not able to make it accessible, affordable or available, any of the resource, that means you should count that person as poor. Okay? Let's say you, as a government, you failed to develop a PHC, primary health center in a remote area, then you should be calling every community which was dependent on that PHC as poor. Okay? That was the idea of Amartya Sen. Okay? And he also he called this as an unfreedom. Okay? Because even after independence, we are not able to give them. Even after giving freedom, we are not able to give them the freedom of accessing basic facilities. Okay? So, poverty can be basically classified as absolute and relative. If it is absolute, matlab, we have a standard marker indicator. If you have not achieved this, you are below this, then you are absolutely poor. Okay? But relative poverty is something which changes dynamically every year. Okay? If we have moved 135 million people out of poverty line, So now whatever society we have, it has a new standard to make. Okay, you can still categorize something as relatively poor because it is less than the others. Okay, so that is relative poverty. If the benchmark indicators, if it is just less than the average of what is prevailing in society also, we will be calling it as relatively poor. These people will be called as relatively poor. Okay. In India, we have one big problem of feminization of poverty. Can you tell me the reasons why? Why do we have feminization of poverty? Feminization of poverty was also asked in UPSC, huh? Correct. Less job opportunities, less education. Women are not taught, they are not sent to schools. So prevailing lack of education, lack of literacy, lack of employment opportunities. Okay, that is also causing feminization of poverty. In agricultural areas or rural areas, men will migrate to urban area looking for jobs. So women are left in rural areas working for agriculture. Now, because on their name the land is not marked, right? So they are not able to get the benefits of a landholder, farmer as a landholder, again pushing them in poverty. So feminization of agriculture is also becoming a cause of feminization of poverty. Getting my point? So in India, poverty is also not gender neutral. Okay, it is also gender bias. So ultimately, government came up with the solutions for poverty alleviation, such as Manrega. In Manrega, we are providing 100 days of employment. 100 days of seasonal unemployment is tackled by Manrega in rural area for an unskilled job. Okay? So the keywords in Manrega are three. First, 100 days. Only 100 days of employment you will be getting. Second, it will be provided only and only in rural areas. So the implementing ministry shall be MORD, correct. Ministry of Rural Development. Okay, and it is for an unskilled job, so the person need not have any skill. Okay, but still it will. Was the main target of Jal Jeevan Mission to provide every household with a piped water supply was the main target of Jal Jeevan Mission. Okay, Swachh Bharat Mission, what was the aim of Swachh Bharat Mission? Clean India, open defecation free. ODF status had to be given. Zero open defecation free status had to be given. Okay. Ujjwala Yojana. Okay. Ujjwala Yojana. What was Ujjwala Yojana about? Providing LPG cylinders. Because they do not, or the government does not want people to use cooking wood as a cooking fuel, reducing indoor pollution. Okay. So similar such schemes you can write related to water, related to sanitation, related to health, related to institutional deliveries. ICDS, have you heard of? Integrated Child Development Scheme. What was ICDS about? Okay, what was ICDS about? Integrated Child Development Scheme was... That was midday meal. Nutrient supplements, providing nutri-bars. That was midday meal. Midday meal. ICDS, Integrated Child Development Scheme, mein both mother and child has to be given food, prenatal, antenatal, postnatal care, and care of the child up to 6 years of age. All this is addressed under ICDS scheme. Okay. So all such schemes you can write in poverty alleviation program. In general, there are too many schemes because the country itself is very poor. Okay, so coming back to the solutions, the idea is we need to work upon the per capita income. We need to work upon the per capita income. So basically, we need to generate employment, increase employment. Okay? For this, the Niti Aayog as well as Rangarajan. See, Rangarajan is a very renowned economist. If his articles are coming in a paper, please don't miss this. It's very important. C. Rangarajan, former governor of RBI and a very renowned economist. Okay. So this is a recommendation coming from C. Rangarajan that we need a continuous growth of 7% for almost 25 years to eradicate poverty from India. Okay. He also, recommendations in the paper was also to improve the ICOR value. ICOR basically means, I'll just give you a summary because you have not read economics. ICOR might be difficult. Incremental capital output ratio is a full form of ICOR, which means that if you are increasing your GDP by unit value, okay, what?
Increase by one unit value, don't increase the output.
No. It is basically talking about generation of capital asset. Capital asset matlab educated child, healthy child, or developing machines, developing industries. Okay? For a developing country, usually ICOR value is close to the range of 4% only. Matlab for a unit increase in GDP, how much are you investing in capital? Capital by output is GDP. So, if with unit increase in GDP, what is the increase in capital value? It can be a healthy child, it can be an educated child, it can be a skilled person, it can be an industry which was generating employment. All these are considered as the capital intensive industries. Okay? Because in future, these are going to give better results. Okay? A healthy child will give you more employment, or a educated child will give you skilled employment. A skilled labor will give you more income. Okay? Or an industry will generate more employment. So incremental capital output ratio should be around 4%. Okay? For developed countries, this is quite high, 7 to 8%. But for a developing economy, it is very close to 4%. Okay? And we must invest in growth plus employment generation. Those areas which promote growth plus generate employment. Any employment intensive sectors of India? Agriculture is more of a disguised unemployment. Matlab people are working, genuinely people are working in agriculture because not oh no. Okay. Textile, leather, footwear, these are examples of manufacturing. See, IT sector is labor intensive, agreed, but it requires skilled labor. Okay? In India, we do not have skilled labor. At least the present problem is we do not have skilled labor. That's why Kaushal Vikas Yojana was also introduced. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana was a skill-based introduction program. So you need to ingest skill in public. Right now, we do not have skilled labor, so we need to focus on those industries which require unskilled labor. It is leather, footwear, or textile. All three are heavily labor-intensive sectors. So we need to work on these three areas. These are employment generating. Okay? Plus, it will also promote growth. If we are able to export, then we will also be able to promote growth here. Okay? And we need to work on three arms: the primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. Primary sector matlab? Primary sector matlab agriculture is one example. I am saying nature, exactly, natural resource, which is directly dependent on natural resource. So mining can also be an example of primary sector, but in general agriculture is considered as that. So we need to work on three arms: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary ke liye we need to shift towards climate resilient agriculture. Okay? Because presently our problem, agriculture is facing a problem of climate crisis. Okay? So we need to shift towards climate resilient agriculture plus work on the nutrition part. Okay? And secondary sector mein we need to work on labor intensive sectors, manufacturing. For example, leather, textile, footwear, all these are labor intensive. Okay? Food processing is also labor intensive. Food processing is another labor intensive sector. Okay? Food processing ke liye contribution is 6% if you want to add somewhere. Food processing sector's contribution to GDP is around 6%. It's a very heavy contribution. Okay. Okay, and the solutions can be gender-based development. So we need to work upon quality education, improvement of health, improvement of literacy skills, and health benefits. Okay? This has been witnessed in Bihar. If we work upon women education, okay, women education beyond 12th grade, we have been able to improve the nutrition amongst children also. That means education is driving the nutritional content of children. Okay? If women are educated, that means they will be more focusing on the nutrition of the children. And this was a live example which we witnessed in Bihar. Okay? So these three things will help us genuinely recover from poverty in a faster manner. Okay? So your question is this. Shall I give you time to write here or will you write?